Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and I'm back with my plans and pans. Well, you know that there's been some turmoil in the banking industry over the last couple of weeks, leaving some people to ask the question, are my deposits safe? Well, we can trace these problems that happened at the Silicon Valley Bank back to the Trump years when legislation was passed that actually made it easier for banks to fail. Let me tell you exactly how that worked. There has been legislation to require all banks to get what we call stress tests so that the banking regulators could see if there were any impending problems. Well, during the last administration, that was rolled back to say that medium and small sized banks would not have to take those stress tests. But the fact of the matter is that if Silicon Valley Bank and a few others had actually been required to take those stress tests, then these regulators, these banking regulators, would have been able to require them to make corrective action. It's really as simple as that. And of course, because those regulations were not required, we saw the consequences. I did not vote for that legislation. And now the Secure, Viable Banking Act will make sure that we repeal that rollback of the requirements and restore the kind of integrity and certainty for all people who are depositing their money into banks to make sure that they will be covered. Now, we are seeing that the government is going to protect the depositors, but I certainly don't want to see the banks themselves get any kind of bailout. We don't want to have that. But I feel confident that our legislation, should we be able to pass it, is going to restore the certainty that you want when you put your money into a bank. Another piece of current legislation that I want to see repealed would happen in the Sunshine in Product Safety Act. Right now in the United States of America, death, injury, and product damage cost Americans $1 trillion a year. And I am concerned that there is a clause, a small clause within the Consumer Product Safety Act that says that if we want to see a dangerous product, an unsafe product recalled, then the Consumer Product Safety Commission, which would normally send out that alert, has to go to the companies that have the flaw and get their permission to put out a recall notice, to put out a danger notice, so that you will know that this is a product that you should avoid. You know, I've been particularly concerned about children. And we have seen a number of products, including the Fisher-Price Rock and Play, which is a product that 30 children died before there was a recall. And even after there was a recall, another 8 children that we know of died. If the CPSC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, could have gotten that information out sooner, those children would be alive. The Peloton treadmill. We know there were videos that a lot of people saw of a child being swooped under the Peloton device, and we know that a child was killed under there. We want to make sure that the word can go out as soon as possible. The companies say that they think it's worthwhile for the Consumer Product Safety Commission to negotiate with them about getting the word out. I say no. As soon as possible, we want you to hear about these dangerous products. But there's another problem when it comes to recalls. I want to see the companies themselves take responsibility And I think when they put all kinds of money into advertising their products, you see them all the time on television, particularly near the holidays, these wonderful products. When those products are found to be dangerous, then we want to see the companies themselves pay just as much money to get the word out about recalls. Because all too often in homes, with caregivers, and in resale markets, you will find that these products can linger for years and years and years. We have to do a much better job, regardless of what the companies, the manufacturers are saying, to get the word out and to encourage taking away these products from the shelves. If you want to know more about recalls, don't wait and go to saferproducts.gov, and you can find out all those products that have been recalled. Last week, I reintroduced legislation honoring the person I believe is the greatest leader in international public health. A dear, dear friend of mine, I've spoken about him before, Dr. Paul Farmer. What this does is set a guideline for how the United States can play a bigger role in making sure that we are supporting public health around the world. I visited him in Rwanda. I visited him several times in Haiti, where the work that he did made such a tremendous difference in saving lives everywhere. And one of the things in the resolution says that I think, that we should be spending a minimum of $125 billion in foreign assistance for public health. That is far less than what we spend on the Defense Department. And I want you to think about funding public health around the world as a national security issue. You know, we are a small planet now, and when there is a breakout of a pandemic around the world, we want to make sure that we protect people everywhere, because if not, we are vulnerable everywhere, including here in the United States of America. I think it's also important to know that we spend less than 1% on foreign assistance out of our federal budget. And it seems to me that the United States of America, the richest country in the world, at the richest time in history, that we could afford to spend more money, and that it really does affect our own national security. So I'm hoping that I am going to get the votes that I need to implement the Paul Farmer tribute legislation. As I've mentioned to you before, and I hope some of you have been able to take advantage of this, because of the Inflation Reduction Act that we passed last year in the Congress, starting on January 1st, Medicare beneficiaries can get for $35 a month their insulin. This is an enormous savings. Those of you who rely on insulin and are on Medicare know that this is a real bonanza. But really good news is the announcement now, and I'm sure that it's part of the pressure that was put on the pharmaceutical companies, that 3 of the major companies now, Sanofi, Eli Lilly, and Novo Nordisk, those 3 companies now have also lowered the cost of insulin. Well, I hope there's a trend here now that we're going to see that the cost of pharmaceuticals, and especially insulin, is going to continue to go down for all Americans. I'd like to see all the companies follow suit to make sure that this life-saving, life-enhancing medication is available at a reasonable price that everyone can afford. So this is good news. And finally, I talked to my staff about the issue of passports, and believe me, they are so frustrated. You're not the only ones. There's such a backlog of people that want passports right now. Obviously, you want to make sure in the most timely of way. I would look on your passport and go months ahead of time to ask for a renewal of those passports that you know you are going to need, or perhaps are going to need down the road. But just know that they're going to do all they can as promptly as they can to help you. This is one of the frustrations that happens when we have a backlog, especially when it's time for travel seasons that are starting right now. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it when you watch Pans and Plans, and I'm going to see you next week. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.